Welcome to Heart Over Gold, the channel where love, kindness, and humanity shine brighter than any fortune. In today's story, Rhonda Jackson, a dedicated executive assistant, balances her demanding job at Davidson Enterprises with caring for her ailing father. Her life takes an unexpected turn when she accepts a ride from Robert Davidson, a man she later discovers is the CEO of her company. As their connection deepens, Rhonda and Robert navigate the complexities of work, personal struggles, and their growing feelings for each other. Their journey is one of love, trust, and overcoming obstacles, proving that genuine connections can emerge in the most unexpected ways. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments, and keep up with our latest stories. The soft light of dawn gently filtered through the window of Rhonda Jackson's cozy apartment as she prepared to brew another cup of strong coffee. Her tired eyes told the story of another sleepless night. Juggling overdue reports and the constant worry about her father, who lay in the next room, was becoming overwhelming. "Dad, did you take your medicine?" she asked, placing a simple breakfast tray on the bedside table. The frail figure of her father nodded slightly and smiled weakly. "You don't have to worry so much, sweetheart. You already do enough," he reassured her as she adjusted his pillows, checked his temperature, and made sure he was comfortable before heading off to work. As Rhonda looked in the mirror, she saw a 28-year-old woman burdened with responsibilities. Her clothes were neat but showed signs of frequent use. She sighed as she checked her bank account on her phone, her executive assistant's salary barely covering the basics and her father's medications. Having lost her mother at 15, Rhonda had always taken on responsibility. Out on the street, she anxiously glanced at her watch. The subway was delayed, and ride-sharing prices had surged during rush hour. She couldn't justify the cost, but being late for work was not an option. "Another month like this, and I might have to take out a loan," she muttered to herself, mentally calculating her expenses as she paced the crowded sidewalk. A sleek black Audi pulled up beside her, the tinted windows sliding down to reveal a man who appeared to be in his mid-30s. He was dressed in a suit that likely cost more than her monthly salary. "Are you headed to Davidson Enterprises too?" he asked, noticing the company logo on her bag. His voice was deep and polite, with an accent Rhonda couldn't place. She hesitated, gripping the strap of her bag. Her instinct told her to decline, but there was something in his gaze, perhaps sincerity, or the knowledge that they worked for the same company, that made her reconsider. "Yes," she said slowly, still unsure. "I can give you a lift," he offered. "Seems a bit silly for both of us to go to the same place separately, don't you think?" Rhonda checked her watch, glanced at the cloudy sky, and then at the man's warm smile. She relented. "Thank you. That's very kind." What seemed like a simple decision would soon set off a chain of unexpected events. The interior of the car smelled of rich leather and an expensive cologne. Rhonda sat stiffly, her worn-out bag on her lap, feeling out of place in the immaculate surroundings. The man introduced himself as Robert, glancing at her through the rearview mirror from time to time. "You seem a bit nervous," he observed with a touch of amusement. "I assure you I'm harmless. Just another Davidson employee like you." Rhonda gave a small smile, trying to relax. "I appreciate the offer, but I usually don't accept rides from strangers. Thank you, though. The cost of getting to work today would have been a hassle." "Financial difficulties?" he asked, his tone casual but attentive. Rhonda hesitated before answering. "Everyone has their struggles, don't they?" Robert smoothly navigated the traffic. "I've noticed you around. Always the first to arrive and the last to leave. That kind of dedication isn't common." Rhonda shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "It's nothing special. Just doing my job and taking care of my responsibilities," she replied, a little surprised by the mention of her dedication. "I saw the medical prescriptions fall out of your bag earlier." "Apologies for noticing," Robert continued. "My father," she explained quietly. "He's been ill for a while now." When the car stopped at a red light, Robert turned toward her. His expression was unreadable, but his eyes showed genuine interest. "That must be tough, balancing work and caregiving." "You don't have much choice, do you?" Rhonda's voice was calm, though tired. "No, you just take care of what needs to be done." The rest of the drive was filled with Robert asking gentle questions about her job, her daily routine, and the challenges she faced. Despite her initial hesitation, there was something about his manner that made the conversation easy. He listened attentively, offering thoughtful comments from time to time. As they approached the striking glass building of Davidson Enterprises, Rhonda noticed her coworkers eyeing the car with a mix of curiosity and admiration. She suddenly became acutely aware of her appearance as she stepped out. "Thanks for the ride," she said quickly, gripping the car door. "Rhonda," Robert called as she stepped away. "Sometimes the right opportunities come when you least expect them. Don't dismiss them too quickly." Before she could respond, he had already driven off, leaving her standing there, pondering his cryptic words. As she entered the building, Rhonda couldn't shake the feeling that Robert was hiding something more beneath his calm exterior. At her desk, Rhonda tried to focus on the day ahead, but her thoughts kept returning to the man in the Audi. His intense gaze and the way he had seemed to see right through her defenses left her unsettled. What she didn't know was that in his penthouse office, Robert Davidson was already making plans to see more of the intriguing young woman who had caught his attention. The next morning, Rhonda arrived early, her mind still preoccupied with the strange encounter. The office buzzed with the usual energy as she settled in at her desk. "Did you hear?" Sarah whispered from the next cubicle. "The CEO is making surprise visits to our department today." Rhonda barely acknowledged the news, too focused on the reports in front of her. Everything changed when she heard the unmistakable sound of footsteps approaching her desk. She looked up. There stood Robert. But now he was dressed in a perfectly tailored suit, surrounded by a group of executives who hung on his every word. "And this is our executive assistant department," he was saying. Then their eyes met. "Ah, Miss Jackson. Good morning." Rhonda's heart skipped a beat as the truth hit her. Robert wasn't just another employee. He was Robert Davidson, the CEO of the company. The man who had given her a ride was her boss. "Good morning, Mr. Davidson," she said, her voice surprisingly steady despite the panic rising in her chest. "Your report on the Asian market projections was excellent," he said effortlessly, as if their earlier meeting had never happened. "I'd appreciate more of that type of analysis." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Rhonda felt all eyes on her, curiosity written on their faces. How did the CEO know about her report? Why was he focusing on her? "Thank you, sir," she said with composure, though her mind was racing. As the group moved on, Rhonda remained frozen at her desk. She had just shared her financial troubles with the CEO. She had voiced her concerns about transportation costs to the most powerful man in the company. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with excitement, once the group was out of earshot. "Since when does the CEO know your name and care about your work?" "I'm not sure," Rhonda responded, trying to mask her confusion as she processed what had just happened. Throughout the day, Rhonda noticed Robert in different parts of the office. Every time their gazes met, she thought she saw a hint of amusement in his eyes. She was left feeling embarrassed, angry, and unsure of what to make of the situation. Why had he hidden his true identity from her? And what did it mean for her career? As she packed up to leave, an email popped up on her computer. "Ms. Jackson, your presence is requested in the executive conference room tomorrow at 9 a.m. sharp. Regards, M." Rhonda stared at the screen, her heart racing. Little did she know, within those walls, decisions had already been made. Decisions that would change her career and her life forever. In the coming days, Rhonda began to notice subtle changes in her routine. She'd arrive at the office to find a cup of coffee waiting for her, prepared just the way she liked it. Important projects would suddenly appear in her inbox, presenting opportunities to prove her skills. And every now and then, Robert would observe her from across the room, his gaze thoughtful. "The quarterly reports need reviewing," her manager said one morning. "Mr. Davidson specifically requested you for this task." Her coworkers exchanged looks of envy and curiosity as Rhonda concentrated on the task at hand. She couldn't deny that Robert always seemed to show up when she needed help with a project. "You have great instincts," he told her during one of their meetings, "but you're holding yourself back." "Why?" Rhonda nervously twirled her pen. "With all due respect, Mr. Davidson, I'm just trying to do my job." "Robert," he corrected, "at least in private meetings. And I know you can do much more than just your job." Later that week, Rhonda declined another invitation to the office happy hour. She couldn't justify spending money on drinks with her father's medical bills piling up. As she gathered her things, Robert approached her desk. "You never join us for team events," he said casually. "I have responsibilities at home," she replied simply. His expression softened. "How's your father? The new treatment is expensive, but we're hopeful," she said quietly. The next day, Rhonda received an unexpected email from HR, a performance bonus. She stared at the screen, unsure of how to feel. Had she truly earned it, or was it another one of Robert's subtle gestures? When she asked HR, they insisted it was just standard protocol for those working on special projects. During lunch breaks, she occasionally spotted Robert at a nearby table in the cafeteria. Their conversations would often flow from work to books and current events. Rhonda found herself looking forward to these exchanges. "You're not what I expected," she told him one day. "Oh, and what did you expect from the CEO?" he teased, his laughter rich and genuine. Someone more corporate? Exactly, she chuckled. Life's too short for anything but being real, he said with a grin. And I value honesty. It's rare in my position. As time passed, Rhonda began to notice subtle changes in herself. She carried herself with more confidence, spoke up more during meetings, and began to recognize her own potential, just as Robert had. Yet, with each interaction, she found herself developing feelings that she knew were inappropriate. The night before the company gala, Rhonda agonized over what to wear. Nothing seemed quite right for such an important event. Eventually, she settled on a simple black cocktail dress. Elegant, but clearly not from a high-end designer. The gala was held at the Grand Plaza Hotel, where the marble lobby buzzed with the city's elite. The moment Rhonda stepped in, she felt out of place, clutching her small purse for comfort. "You came," Robert said, his voice catching her off guard. He looked stunning in a perfectly tailored tuxedo, commanding attention as he entered the room. "Did I really have a choice?" Rhonda replied, trying to keep her nerves in check. Even though her anxiety was palpable, "There's always a choice," he said with a smile, extending his arm. "Shall we?" As the night unfolded, Robert remained by her side, seamlessly introducing her to influential figures in the business world and effortlessly weaving her into discussions surrounding company initiatives. Rhonda was taken aback to discover that she was managing these interactions with increasing assurance. "You brought up the Asian market expansion earlier," one board member remarked to her. "I would love to hear more about your analysis." As Rhonda shared her insights, she caught sight of Robert observing her with clear pride. In a tranquil pause, they discovered solitude on the hotel's terrace. "You're truly exceptional," he murmured. "Are you aware of that?" Rhonda sensed a flush rise to her cheeks. "I'm simply fulfilling my responsibilities." "No," he replied, shaking his head. "You're remarkable. The way you look after your father, how you face every obstacle. I've never encountered anyone quite like you." The atmosphere around them was thick with unexpressed feelings. Rhonda's heart raced as Robert stepped closer, his hand barely grazing hers. "Mr. Davidson." "Robert," he said with a soft correction. "Please, Robert," she murmured, retreating a step. This isn't merely a straightforward office romance. There's far too much at stake for both of us." "Shouldn't what?" His voice was soft, drawing her in. "Have a genuine conversation. Acknowledge this connection." Just as Rhonda was about to reply, another executive stepped in, vying for Robert's attention. The moment fractured, yet an essential change had occurred between them. On Monday morning, Rhonda discovered a small package resting on her desk. Within lay a finely crafted silver bracelet accompanied by a note. "Thank you for making the evening memorable. E. Shaw to have responded right away. It was not suitable." Instead, she tucked it away in her drawer, her fingers brushing against the delicate chain. Throughout the day, their gazes intertwined across rooms and hallways, each look heavy with unexpressed sentiments. Rhonda attempted to concentrate on her tasks, yet her thoughts continually wandered to the terrace, to the way Robert had regarded her, to the potential of something deeper. As she stepped out of the office that evening, the weight of reality hit her hard. Her father had yet another medical appointment scheduled for tomorrow. Bills were piling up, and the thought of pursuing unattainable relationships with influential CEOs felt like a distant fantasy. Upon returning home, she discovered the bracelet had mysteriously found its way into her purse. Yet, she chose not to return it. Instead, she set it gently on her nightstand, where it captured the fading sunlight glimmering with unspoken potential. "Rhonda, you need to go and have fun," her father urged, glancing at the formal invitation resting on their kitchen table. Robert dispatched it through a core, an invitation for her attendance at a prestigious corporate dinner, marking the celebration of the company's most significant merger thus far. "Dad, I can't just abandon you for the entire evening," she argued, even as her fingers continued to glide over the embossed lettering. "Mrs. Peterson from next door has already confirmed he will keep an eye on me." "I'm not as helpless as you think," he said, a playful glint in his eyes. "When was the last time you did something just for you?" The event took place at the Ritz, and Rhonda had splurged significantly on a stunning deep blue evening gown. As she entered the grand ballroom, Robert's response made it all worthwhile. He paused mid-sentence, his eyes growing wide. Ash absorbed her beauty. "You look stunning," he murmured softly as she drew near. During the dinner, Rhonda discovered that she was positioned next to Robert at the central table. Their dialogue unfolded effortlessly, meandering through topics from business tactics to beloved literature. She observed the way he appeared transformed in this setting, exuding a sense of ease and authenticity. "Dance with me," he invited as the music began to swell. Rhonda paused for a moment, yet his hand was already reaching out to her on the dance floor. Everything else seemed to dissolve into the background. Robert embraced her gently, his hand radiating warmth against her back. "I'm glad you came," he whispered softly. "I nearly didn't," she confessed. "What led to your change of heart?" "My father, actually," he said. "I deserve a night out." Robert's eyes softened. "He's right. You deserve so much more than you allow yourself." For a brief moment, Rhonda set aside the disparities in their social standings, the expectations of professionalism, and all the complexities that surrounded the situation. She surrendered to the rhythm, embraced his essence, and acknowledged the profound bond that linked them. Later, as they stood on the hotel's balcony, absorbing the glow of the city lights, Robert turned to her. "Rhonda Wang." But before he could complete his thought, his assistant rushed in, urgently demanding his focus for a critical call from overseas investors. "I'm sorry," he said, a note of sincere regret lacing his words. "We'll continue this conversation soon." Rhonda nodded, her gaze following him as he walked away. She sensed that this evening would alter their relationship. Yet she was uncertain about the extent of that change. Is what Rhonda almost let her coffee cup slip from her grasp in the break room. Her colleague Jenny had just casually remarked that Robert Davidson was far from an ordinary executive. He established the company and served as its chief executive officer. "You had no idea." Jenny's expression was one of astonishment. "He founded the company from the ground up a decade ago, transforming it into its current state. The tale is well known. It's almost a legend in the business world." Rhonda sensed the room begin to whirl. All those conversations, the shared rides, the dance at the dinner. She had been engaging with the true owner of the company without realizing it. The man worth billions had allowed her to express her financial struggles and had listened as if they were equals. Back at their desk, Rhonda's mind raced through every interaction they had shared. How many had observed them, aware of his identity while she stayed unaware? Had he been chuckling at her innocence all along? "Rhonda," his well-known voice startled her. Robert lingered near her desk, clutching what appeared to be project files. "Do you have a moment to discuss the quarterly projections?" "I'm quite busy, Mr. Davidson," she replied with a chill in her voice, stressing his surname. "Maybe you should talk it over with your executive team." He blinked, taken aback by her tone. "Is everything okay?" Rhonda's voice trembled with a sense of betrayal. "You made me think we were on the same level, that I could rely on you, and all along you were putting me to the test." Realization spread across his features. "Ah, you discovered as if it were just a trivial point." Rhonda's hands quivered ever so slightly. "You allowed me to think you were merely another staff member. Was this entertaining for you?" "Rhonda, that's not. I confided in you intimate details all while you were what? Observing me, evaluating me. If you'd allow me to clarify." "I don't believe there's anything to clarify, Mr. Davidson," she interrupted, rising to her feet. "If you'll excuse me, I need some air." She hurried to the elevator, disregarding his attempts to call her back. In the bathroom, she splashed cold water on her face, seeking to regain her composure. The reflection staring back at her was one of betrayal and humiliation. From that moment, Rhonda resolved to maintain her distance. No more intimate conversations, no more shared moments. She would remain professional, nothing beyond that. If Robert Davidson sought to toy with emotions, he would need to seek a different victim. Over the next fortnight, Rhonda mastered the skill of strategic evasion. She funneled all interactions with Robert through his assistant, arrived early to sidestep any chance meetings in the morning, and scheduled her lunches at unconventional times to guarantee their paths remained separate. In unavoidable meetings, she upheld a strict formality that allowed no space for personal connection. Her replies were terse. Her reports remained purely professional. Whenever Robert attempted to spark a conversation, she swiftly devised excuses to remove herself from the situation. "Rhonda, you seem quite unhappy," her father noted one evening as she nibbled at her meal. "And don't try to convince me otherwise. I understand my daughter." "It's just work stress, Dad," she mumbled. But her father wasn't deceived. "This wouldn't have anything to do with that young man you mentioned." "The one from work?" Rhonda's fork clanged against her plate. "He deceived me, did he?" her father inquired softly. "Or did he simply choose not to share everything at once?" "It's essentially the same, isn't it?" He extended his hand across the table to gently touch hers. "At times, those in authority crave recognition for their true selves, rather than their status." Rhonda leaned back, pondering his insights. She recalled the effortless way Robert engaged in their discussions, how sincerely he appeared to value her thoughts and perspectives. The environment at work became more and more charged with tension. She sensed Robert's gaze upon her in the meetings, felt the weight of his frustration at the barriers she had erected. Once she found him lingering by her desk, gazing at the vacant space that once held her during their lunchtime chats. Ms. Jackson, his assistant, approached one afternoon. "Mr. Davidson wishes to arrange a meeting to go over your recent project proposals." "Just email them to him," Rhonda responded without hesitation. "He made a specific request for a face-to-face meeting. I'm afraid my schedule is full." Later that day, she discovered a handwritten note on her desk. "I never meant to hurt you. Please let me explain," she said. Rhonda crumpled the note in her hand, yet she couldn't bring herself to discard it. Instead, she tucked it into her drawer right next to the silver bracelet she still couldn't return. That night, as she assisted her father with his medication, he spoke gently. "Sometimes the biggest regrets come not from what we did, but from what we were too afraid to hear." Rhonda lay awake that night, contemplating whether her wounded pride was worth the expanding emptiness she felt within. As Rhonda sifted through her father's medical bills, she stumbled upon something peculiar. The hospital indicated that multiple costly treatments had been settled completely. Perplexed, she reached out to the billing department. "Yes, Miss Jackson. The treatments were covered by the Davidson Foundation," the clerk said with a bright smile. "This initiative is designed specifically for the families of our employees." "Did you not submit your application for it?" Rhonda sensed the room whirl around her. No program of that kind existed. She must have been aware of it. This bore Robert's unmistakable mark. She entered the office the following morning, resolve radiating from her gaze. As Robert's assistant attempted to intervene, she forcefully brushed by, making her way into his office without prior notice. "You had no right," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Robert glanced up from his desk, his face a mask of calm. "Good morning, Rhonda. The expenses from the hospital, my father's care. That was you." He placed his pen down and rose gradually. "Your father deserves the best care available. I don't need your charity." "It's not charity," he said quietly. "I care about you, Rhonda. Both of you." "What is the reason?" she insisted. "Why would you do this?" "Because I couldn't stand by and watch you suffer when I had the ability to assist." He stepped closer, his gaze piercing. "Every time you brought up another bill, another treatment that was just out of reach, it shattered my heart." Rhonda felt tears welling up. "I can't accept this." "Then think of it as a loan if that helps." "But please," his voice softened, "don't let pride stand in the way of your father's health." She sank into a nearby chair, feeling overwhelmed. "I can't wrap my head around you, Robert. One moment, you're concealing your true self, and the next you pull a stunt like this. I concealed my role because for once, I desired for someone to recognize me as simply Robert. Not the CEO, not the affluent entrepreneur, just me." He knelt next to her chair. "And you did. You showed me authenticity and sincerity. Are you aware of just how uncommon that is in my realm?" Rhonda gazed at him, truly gazed, and perceived the genuine emotion reflected in his eyes. She recalled every dialogue they had, the way he absorbed her tales, engaged with her worries, and honored her viewpoints. "I'm still angry with you," she whispered. A faint smile danced on his lips. "I know, but at least you're talking to me again." For the first time in weeks, Rhonda sensed the barrier she'd constructed around her heart starting to give way. The quaint cafe just a couple of blocks from the office transformed into a space of neutrality. Rhonda lingered at a secluded table, observing the wisps of steam curling up from here-untouched coffee while she awaited Robert's arrival. They had settled on this location, a refuge from the corporate atmosphere and its scrutinizing gaze. He showed up exactly when expected, appearing transformed in his casual attire, more inviting, reminiscent of the man she had encountered earlier that day on the street. "I appreciate you taking the time to meet," he said, settling into the chair opposite her. "I'm here because I seek clarity," Rhonda responded. "Everything, no more half-truths." Robert nodded, his fingers tapping softly on the table. "I was raised in affluence," he started. "Everything was given to me. Yet it felt like everyone had an expectation in return. My resources, my impact, my network. It's never solely about me." He took a moment signaling to the waitress for a coffee as she walked by. "That morning when I spotted you waiting for a ride, I noticed the company badge. Yet you failed to recognize me, and it was invigorating. The manner in which you communicated, straightforward and sincere, devoid of ulterior motives or insincere praise." "So you've chosen to engage in a game." Rhonda's voice carried an unmistakable sharpness. "No," he stated with conviction. "I chose to safeguard something authentic. Each dialogue we exchanged, each instant we experienced together, it was genuine. Rhonda, more authentic than anything I've encountered in years. And the medical expenses for my father, that wasn't about control. I witnessed a dear one facing difficulties, and I was in a position to offer assistance. Wouldn't you have acted in a similar way?" Rhonda examined his expression, searching for any hint of dishonesty. Instead, she discovered only authenticity and a profound connection. Something that quickened her heartbeat. "I find it difficult to accept assistance," she confessed. "Especially not from someone like me," he concluded with a subtle smile. "Rich, powerful, or merely someone who cares for you?" The inquiry lingered in the air, laden with meaning. Rhonda sipped her now lukewarm coffee, pausing to gather her thoughts. I'm not sure how to navigate this, she finally admitted. Whatever this connection is between us, I'm in the same boat, Robert responded candidly. But I'm eager to explore it in unison. No more secrets, no more pretense, just us. He extended his hand across the table, pausing just before hers, a gesture of invitation rather than insistence. Rhonda wandered through her apartment that evening, her thoughts circling back to the conversation with Robert at the cafe. Her father observed her from his cherished armchair, a familiar smile gracing his lips. "You're going to wear a hole in the floor, sweetheart," he teased. "I don't know what to do, Dad," she admitted, finally sinking onto the couch. "Everything he said makes sense. But you're afraid," her father interjected. "Afraid of opening up, of receiving support, of showing weakness," Rhonda agreed, struggling to hold back tears. "What if everything crumbles? What if I'm merely a fleeting curiosity to him? Is there someone who stands out from his typical surroundings? What happens if you aren't?" her father replied. "What if he's truly just as he appears? A man who has genuinely fallen for my incredible daughter and wishes to be involved in her life." She toyed with the silver bracelet she had finally permitted herself to wear once more. "It's complicated. He holds the title of my superior and the intricacies of our relationship. Life is complicated," her father remarked gently. "But sometimes the best things are worth the risk." Rhonda reflected on Robert's candidness at the cafe, the way his gaze intertwined with hers as he revealed his true self. She reflected on their early morning dialogues, how he had attentively absorbed her thoughts and valued her perspectives. "I'm weary of living in fear," she murmured. Her father reached over and squeezed her hand. "Then maybe it's time to be brave instead." That night, Rhonda lay awake, her gaze fixed on her phone. Robert's final message lingered without her reply. "Whatever you decide, know that my feelings are genuine." Her fingers lingered above the keyboard, her heart pounding as she wrote, "Can we discuss this tomorrow?" His reply was immediate. "Name the time and place." For the first time in weeks, Rhonda drifted off to sleep with a smile gracing her lips. The next morning arrived bright and clear. Rhonda selected the rooftop garden of the office building for their meeting, a space that struck a balance between privacy and openness. Upon her arrival, Robert was already present, leaning against the railing and observing the city come to life below. "Good morning," she greeted softly, stepping up beside him at the railing. "Good morning," he said, turning to look at her. "I wasn't sure you'd show up." "I wasn't sure myself," she confessed, "but I've been reflecting a lot." The morning sun illuminated his face as he waited quietly for her to elaborate. Rhonda inhaled deeply. "I'm not accustomed to this, allowing others to assist, permitting them to enter my life. After Mom passed away, it was just Dad and me standing against everything. I needed to embody strength, independence, and reliability." "You still can be," Robert remarked. "Being with someone doesn't mean sacrificing your own identity." "I understand that now. I've come to see that perhaps my intense focus on self-protection has caused me to overlook something significant." "What is it?" "That true strength can sometimes be found in the courage to place trust in another person." Robert's expression softened. "And do you have faith in me?" "I'm beginning to," she admitted sincerely. "However, I need you to grasp something. If we proceed with this, whatever it may be, I would prefer not to receive any special treatment at work. No special treatment, no handouts. I want to be certain that all my achievements are a result of my own hard work." "I wouldn't want it any other way," he concurred. "Your competence is one of the things I admire most about you." Rhonda felt a tightness in her chest begin to ease. "And my father's treatment is non-negotiable," Robert stated with conviction. "Not in the capacity of your boss or as a potential romantic partner, but as someone who genuinely cares for both of you. Please allow me to do this." She gazed at his face for an extended moment, then gave a slow nod. All right. His eyebrows lifted in astonishment. "All of it is fine, the journey and us. Embracing the pace, discovering what lies ahead." The grin that spread across his face made every second of doubt worthwhile. He extended his hand toward hers, and this time she allowed him to grasp it. "Slow sounds perfect," he murmured gently. As they stood there, gazing at the sun rising over the city, Rhonda felt a sensation she hadn't encountered in ages. Anticipation. Monday morning infused the office with a fresh vibe. Rhonda strode through the doors with confidence, embracing the inquisitive looks from her colleagues. She was completely transparent now. Indeed, very little. She and Robert decided to keep their emerging relationship under wraps for the time being, ensuring a professional boundary at work while exploring their connection more deeply outside the office. It was not always straightforward, particularly in the moments during meetings when their gazes would connect across the conference table. Ms. Jackson, Robert's assistant, approached her desk mid-morning. "Mr. Davidson would like to see you regarding the Johnson account." In his office, Robert sat behind his desk, upholding the professional demeanor they had settled on. Yet his gaze warmed as she walked in. "I wanted to express my sincere apologies," he said once the door was closed for everything. "It's not merely about concealing who I am. It's about creating an atmosphere where trust feels elusive." Rhonda took her seat in the chair opposite him. "I believe I owe you an apology as well," I responded quite strongly. "You were completely justified, perhaps, yet I didn't allow you the opportunity to clarify. I was so consumed by my own wounded pride that I failed to recognize your efforts to safeguard something genuine." Robert leaned in, his gaze sincere. "I've never encountered anyone quite like you, Rhonda. Someone who looks beyond all of this," he indicated with a sweep of his hand towards his office. "To the essence of who I am. I should have believed in that aspect of you from the beginning." "We both had our defenses," she confessed. "Perhaps it's time to disappoint them." "I'd like that," he smiled, then opened his desk drawer. "I have something for you," he said, revealing a small envelope. Inside was a medical report revealing her father's latest test results. "All positive. The new treatment is working," he said softly. "Your father's doctor called this morning." Rhonda's eyes welled with tears as she absorbed the report. In a spontaneous gesture, she rose and moved around the desk, enveloping him in a warm embrace. "Thank you," she murmured softly. For a brief instant, they remained in that position, the lines of professionalism blurred. Then, recalling their surroundings, Rhonda took a step back, adjusting her skirt with a delicate touch. "Dinner tonight?" Robert inquired. "It's a celebration." "I would appreciate that," she said with a smile, making her way to the door. "And Robert, I forgive you." The expression of sheer happiness on his face lingered in her mind throughout the day. The following weeks unfolded in a flurry of secret encounters and intimate dinners. Rhonda and Robert discovered a harmonious balance, maintaining a clear divide between their careers while nurturing a unique bond in their personal moments. One evening at a quaint Italian eyrie away from the corporate hustle, Robert broached a topic that had been weighing on him. "The annual shareholders' meeting is next week," he remarked, observing her response intently. "I'd like you to be there officially." Rhonda paused, her fork suspended in midair. "You mean assess the woman I'm seeing? Are you prepared for that?" She placed her fork on the table, pondering the consequences. Going public would alter everything. Their meticulously preserved professional boundaries, her connections with coworkers, and perhaps even the course of her career. "Are you certain?" she inquired. "There will be discussions." "Let them think what they want," Robert interjected softly. "I'm exhausted from pretending that I don't feel a spark every time you enter a room. I'm weary of observing you from afar in the office, forcing myself to treat you like just another colleague." Rhonda's heart raced. It might complicate matters. "Life is complicated." He smiled, reflecting on her father's words from weeks prior. "But you're worth every complication." The following week, Rhonda stood in front of her mirror, adjusting her new dress, a present from Robert that she'd initially attempted to decline. The shareholders' meeting would mark her first official appearance as Robert Davidson's partner. "You look beautiful," her father remarked from his chair, appearing healthier than he had in months, though a hint of nervousness lingered in his demeanor. "What if they don't accept me?" she whispered. "Then that's their loss," he replied with conviction. "But anyone who sees how happy you make each other would be a fool to question it." During the meeting, Robert took great pride in introducing her to the board members and investors. While a few eyebrows were raised, his assured demeanor and evident affection signaled that this was more than a mere office romance. "The insights provided by Ms. Jackson have proven to be crucial for our expansion into the Asian market," he remarked to a particularly skeptical board member. "Her business savvy is evident." Later at the reception, Rhonda caught two executives in conversation. "Have you ever seen him like this?" "Never." "He behaves differently around her. There's a sense of grounding, a touch of humanity." As the night began to wind down, Robert spotted her on the balcony, distanced from the throng. "Regrets?" he inquired, encircling her with his arms from behind. "Not a single one," she answered, reclining against him. "I believe Mrs. Henderson from accounting nearly had a heart attack when you kissed my hand." His laughter resonated deeply. "Let them get used to it. I'm done concealing my feelings for you," Rhonda said, turning to face him in his embrace. "And how do you feel?" Rather than responding, he leaned in and kissed her, right there on the balcony, indifferent to any onlookers. When they separated, his gaze held a weight of seriousness. "I adore you, Rhonda Jackson, all truths laid bare. No more hiding." For the first time in her life, Rhonda felt a clarity in her response that she had never experienced before. "I love you too." 2 months into their public relationship, Rhonda encountered unexpected challenges. While Robert continued to treat her the same, both in the workplace and in their personal lives, the atmosphere around them had noticeably altered. One morning, she caught snippets of conversation in the break room. "It seems she had this all figured out from the beginning. I wonder how soon it will be before she ascends to the role of VP, climbing the ladder in her own way. Classic move. Rhonda tightened her grip on her coffee cup, yet maintained her composure as she strode by. Later that day, she caught herself reflecting on the remarks made during the department meeting. Miss Jackson, what are your insights regarding the suggested marketing strategy? Her direct supervisor inquired, his tone noticeably altered, almost respectful, as if hesitant to confront her. I believe it requires improvement, she stated with conviction, laying out her notes. The demographic analysis eye-slacking, and we have overlooked essential market indicators. I recommend a thorough revision before we present to the board. She sensed the weight of gazes upon her, curious if she was showcasing her newfound authority. Yet Robert, positioned at the head of the table, merely nodded in agreement. I concur. Johnson, collaborate with Miss Jackson's team to enhance the proposal. We need solid data before moving forward. That evening in Robert's penthouse apartment, Rhonda finally expressed her worries. They treat me differently now, she said, curled up on his luxurious couch. Either they're too intimidated to critique my work, or they think I'm leveraging you for my own gain. Robert placed his wineglass down and turned to her completely. Does it bother you because you believe them? No, she replied, sitting up straighter. I know what we have is genuine, but I've put in so much effort to establish my reputation, and you believe that being with me undermines it. Sometimes, she confessed softly, I notice the way people gaze at me now, as if I'm no longer Rhonda Jackson, the one who climbed the ladder, but rather Rhonda Jackson, the one who captured the CEO's attention. Robert paused, reflecting on her statement. When I began this venture, many claimed my success was solely due to my family's influence, that I hadn't truly earned it. It took years to silence those doubts, he said, taking her hand. Your efforts are undeniable, Rhonda. Those who truly understand recognize that your worth is independent of our connection. But what if they are correct? What if being with you truly offers me unexpected benefits? Is that the reason you declined the promotion last week? Rhonda averted her gaze. She had indeed turned down a major opportunity for career growth, concerned it would lend credence to the rumors circulating in the office. You're punishing yourself for the biases of others, Robert said gently. That promotion was rightfully yours. Your history speaks for itself. I simply desire to achieve success through my own efforts. You already have, and you will continue to do so, he said, cradling her face with tenderness. Being with me does not take away from your accomplishments. If anything, it pushes you to strive even more to validate your worth. Rhonda leaned into his touch, sensing some of her tension dissipate. When did you become so insightful? Around the time I fell for a woman who is both incredibly stubborn and fiercely independent. She has a way of keeping me grounded, she laughed. Then her expression turned serious. I won't always be easy to love. You know, there are numerous barriers that are still being dismantled. It's fortunate that I possess patience. He drew her nearer, fully and wholeheartedly dedicated to demonstrating that love and achievement can coexist harmoniously. She nestled into his arms. Rhonda came to understand that the true struggle lay not in confronting the opinions of others, but in embracing the belief that she was worthy of both career achievements and personal joy. The journey ahead may present challenges, yet with Robert alongside her, she felt prepared to confront whatever lay ahead. 1 year after that fateful morning, when Rhonda accepted a ride from a mysterious stranger, she found herself in her father's hospital room, observing him as he packed his belongings. The doctors had just declared him fit and healthy. The bold approach Robert pursued proved to be more effective than anyone had anticipated. Are you ready to head home, Dad? She inquired, assisting him in folding his sweater. More than ready. But I have to admit that private room was rather luxurious. He shared a knowing glance with her. Your Robert certainly knows how to take care of people. He's not my Robert, she protested automatically, then smiled. Well, maybe he is. Just as their conversation seemed to call him forth, Robert appeared in the doorway carrying a bouquet of flowers. For your new garden, he explained to Rhonda's father. I heard you're planning to take up gardening now that you're feeling better. Absolutely. You two are my first volunteers for the heavy lifting. Laughter erupted among them, and Rhonda's heart swelled with joy. This was her family now broadened, fortified whole. Back at work, Rhonda had finally discovered her rhythm. She had embraced the promotion she had once declined, and the achievements of her team were a testament to that decision. The murmurs of favoritism faded away as her unwavering accomplishments spoke forth themselves. The board has given the green light to your proposal for the new community outreach program. Robert informed her one afternoon in a well-timed meeting with the door ajar. One of their numerous compromises to uphold professional boundaries. That's wonderful. When are we able to begin the implementation process? They were notably struck by the emphasis on assisting families facing medical challenges. His gaze became gentle. "You've transformed your personal journey into a source of support for others. I was fortunate to have great inspiration," she responded, reflecting on her father's challenges and Robert's kindness. Later that evening, as they strolled through the park adjacent to their newly shared apartment, Robert appeared to be unusually silent. "Is everything all right?" Rhonda inquired, gently holding his hand. He halted his steps, pivoting to meet her gaze. "I've been contemplating what lies ahead." Oh, her heart raced with excitement. "This last year has brought me the greatest joy. You have transformed me, Rhonda. Transformed me into a more refined individual, a more effective leader," he said as he pulled something from his pocket. "And I want to spend the rest of my life being worthy of your love." Rhonda's breath hitched as he knelt down, presenting a ring that was both simple and elegant. "I'm not inquiring because you embody perfection, even though to me you do. I'm inquiring because your unwavering nature tests me. Your principles motivate me and your affection fulfills me." He inhaled deeply. "Rhonda Jackson, will you marry me?" Tears welled in her eyes as a rush of memories enveloped her. Their initial encounter, the challenges they faced, the evolution of their bond, his unwavering support during her father's healing journey, all while honoring her autonomy, her role in guiding him to navigate the fine line between his responsibilities as a CEO and embracing his true self. "Yes," she murmured, then raised her voice. "Yes." As he slid the ring onto her finger and drew her into a kiss, Rhonda understood that love transcended power dynamics and social status. It was about discovering someone who truly saw you and embraced you, wholly flaws and all. "You realize this will lead to even more office gossip," she playfully remarked as they strolled home. "Let them talk," Robert replied, drawing her nearer. "We know what's real." And indeed they did. A chance meeting between a struggling assistant and a powerful CEO sparked a love story that blossomed into something profoundly significant. A collaboration founded on mutual trust, respect, and an unshakable faith in one another. 5 years later, Rhonda found herself at the podium of Davidson Enterprises' annual charity gala, embracing her position as Director of Community Outreach. The initiative she launched years back has blossomed into one of the company's standout successes, providing support to countless families grappling with medical challenges. "When I first joined this company," she began her speech, "I faced challenges in balancing my work responsibilities with the care of my ailing father. Today, I take great pride in sharing that my father is present with us," as she indicated towards him, nurturing his beloved roses, which have become his newfound passion. "Additionally, we have supported over 1,000 families in navigating similar obstacles." From the edge of the stage, Robert observed his wife, a swell of pride filling his heart. Their journey was not without its bumps. Whispers about their relationship lingered, and there were times when Rhonda felt the need to validate her place. Yet, they confronted each challenge side by side. "Success goes beyond mere profit margins," Rhonda continued. "It encompasses the impact we have on people's lives. Often the most significant transformations begin with a single act of kindness." She locked eyes with Robert and smiled, reminiscing about that initial car ride. Following the speech while guests mingled, a young intern approached Rhonda with a hint of nervousness. "Mrs. Davidson, your narrative fills me with optimism. I'm balancing the responsibility of caring for my ill mother while striving to advance my career." Rhonda grasped the girl's hand tightly. "Join me on Monday. I believe we can find a solution together." Later that night, as they strolled through the garden where Rhonda's father had assisted them in planting a colorful array of flowers, Robert drew her near. "Do you have any idea what I cherish the most about you?" he inquired. "My remarkable business insight," she playfully taunted. "That's true. But what stands out most is how you've transformed every challenge life presented into a means of assisting others." Rhonda nestled into his arms, reflecting on the path they had traveled together. She had transformed from a frazzled assistant struggling to get by, and he was no longer the isolated CEO concealing himself behind his title. United, they crafted something significant, transcending their affection to create a lasting impact on the lives of others. "We performed well, didn't we?" she murmured softly. "We did wonderfully," he said, pressing his lips gently against hers. "And this is only the beginning." As the city lights danced beneath her, Rhonda came to a profound realization. Affection transcended social standing and riches. It revolved around faith, development, and the continuous decision to stand by one another regardless of the challenges faced.